3 countries actually went to war over a single bowl of rice. Women threw punches. UNESCO had to step in and pick a winner, and that is just one dish out of hundreds. Rice feeds 3.5 billion people on Earth every single day of the year. Today, every major rice dish will be explained. That war reveal? Stay till the very end. Risotto alla Milanese. Milan, September 1574. Risotto was born as a practical joke at a wedding. The story sits in a manuscript inside the Trevolziana Library in Milan. A Belgian glassmaker named Valerio di Fiandra was finishing the stained glass windows of the Milan Cathedral. His apprentice, nicknamed Zafferano, kept dumping saffron into his paints to brighten the colors. Valerio joked the kid would end up throwing saffron into the risotto. On the wedding day of Valerio's daughter, the apprentice did exactly that. Loaded the butter rice with saffron. Guests panicked. Then they tasted it, and Milan's national dish was born on the spot. But risotto is a diva. You ladle warm broth into the rice 1 spoon at a time, stirring non-stop for 20 minutes. Walk away and she burns. The rice has to be Arborio Carnaroli or Violone Nano, because those varieties release a starch called amylopectin that creates the creaminess without any cream. Italians call the perfect texture all'onda, meaning on the wave. It has to flow off the spoon. And leftover risotto? Sicilians roll it into balls, stuff it with mozzarella, bread it, deep fry it, and call it arancini. 1 dish, 2 lives. But risotto is tame compared to Spain. Paella. Because paella is the most misunderstood rice dish on Earth. Everyone thinks seafood, shrimp, mussels, clams. Wrong. The original Paella Valenciana had 0 seafood. The authentic version, created by farm workers outside Valencia in the 18th century, used chicken, rabbit, snails, tomatoes, and flat green beans called ferradura. These laborers grabbed whatever was near the fields and cooked it over an open wood fire in a wide, shallow pan. That pan is where the name comes from. Paella is the Valencian word for the pan itself. The rice is bomba, a short grain variety that absorbs 3 times its volume in liquid without falling apart. But the most prized bite of any paella is not the rice or the meat. It is the socarrat, that crispy, caramelized golden crust on the bottom of the pan when the stock evaporates. Valencians treat it like gold. Experienced cooks leave the pan on the fire a little longer at the end specifically to form that crust. And one rule no Spaniard will break. Meat and seafood never mix. Seafood paella gets its own name, paella marinara. Mix them and 47 million Spaniards will come for your neck. Remember that crispy bottom. It shows up again later, 8,000 miles away. Biryani. From Spain, we fly to India. Biryani is where rice becomes a full event. The dish traces to the Mughal Empire in the 16th century, when Persian rulers brought the concept of cooking rice with meat into India. Indian cooks rewrote the rules. They introduced dum pukht. You layer half-cooked basmati rice with marinated meat, saffron, cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, fried onions, and saffron-soaked milk. Then you seal the pot lid with wet dough so 0 steam escapes. Everything cooks low and slow on charcoal for hours. When you crack the seal, the aroma hits like a punch. Every region has a version. Hyderabadi biryani uses raw meat with half-cooked rice. Lucknowi cooks the meat first. Kolkata throws in potatoes. And the stat that proves how obsessed the world is with this dish is wild. Chicken biryani was the most Googled food in India in 2019, according to Google Trends data, pulling nearly 500,000 searches every single month. Not butter chicken, not tikka masala, biryani. It crushed every other Indian dish. The next one did something even more impressive. It went from a 2,000-year-old preservation trick to the most famous food in Japan, sushi. And sushi has nothing to do with raw fish. 0. The word sushi refers to the seasoned vinegared rice, not the topping on it. Raw fish alone is sashimi, a different dish. The real origin is wilder than anyone tells you. The earliest form, called narizushi, appeared in Southeast Asia over 2,000 years ago. Per the Kikkoman Culinary Archive, people packed raw freshwater fish into salted fermented rice, buried it under a weight, and waited up to a year. Then they threw the rice away and ate only the fish. The rice was literal garbage. a preservation tool. That technique reached Japan around the 8th century, and sushi stayed a fermented food for another 1,000 years. Then in 1824, a street vendor named Hanaya Yohei in Edo, modern-day Tokyo, broke the system. He opened a stall on the Ryogoku Bridge over the Sumida River. He mixed rice vinegar and salt into fresh rice, hand-pressed it into a small ball, and topped it with a slice of fish pulled straight from the bay. No fermentation, no waiting. Sushi went from 12 months to 12 seconds. Yohei invented fast food 200 years before McDonald's opened. His stall got slammed with customers, and the method spread through Edo within years. Japan's national food was born on a bridge because one guy got impatient. But no rivalry in food history comes close to what is cooking in West Africa: jollof rice. Because jollof rice started an actual international war, jollof is a one-pot dish built on rice, tomatoes, peppers, onions, and spices, and the question of who makes the best version ignited the loudest food rivalry on the internet. Nigeria says theirs, Ghana says theirs, Senegal says, hold on, we invented the entire thing. African food historian Fran Oseo Asare traces the origin to the Wolof Empire in modern-day Senegal in the 14th century. The original dish was called thibu dien, a rice and fish stew. In 2021, UNESCO officially recognized Senegal's thibu dien as an intangible cultural heritage dish, ending the debate on paper. Nigeria and Ghana rejected the verdict. Nigerian jollof uses parboiled long-grain rice and gets its smoky flavor from cooking until the bottom slightly burns. Ghanaian jollof uses jasmine rice and heavier spices. Senegalese always includes fish. The rivalry has an official name now, the Jollof Wars. In 2016, a Ghanaian political rally nearly rioted because caterers ran out. And when Jamie Oliver posted a jollof recipe with cherry tomatoes, coriander, and lemon, West African Twitter exploded. The hashtag JollofGate trended for days. His team issued a formal apology over rice. Nasi goreng. Indonesia's national dish was invented by accident because someone refused to waste leftovers. Nasi goreng translates to fried rice, but calling it that is like calling a Lamborghini a car. The technique arrived with Chinese traders around the 10th century. Wasting rice was considered sinful in Chinese culture, so leftover rice got stir-fried the next morning in a wok. Indonesians added 3 ingredients that exist in no other fried rice on earth: kicap manis, a thick sweet soy sauce with palm sugar that caramelizes in the wok and turns the rice dark mahogany; terasi, a fermented shrimp paste that delivers deep, funky umami; and sambal, a fiery chili paste. Day-old rice is mandatory. Fresh rice clumps. Indonesia officially crowned nasi goreng the national dish in 2014 after a national survey, beating satay and rendang. Jakarta vendors sell it from wooden carts at 2 in the morning, topped with a runny fried egg, cucumber, tomato, and shrimp crackers called krupuk. But Korea took rice and turned it into a performance: bibimbap. Because bibimbap translates to mixed rice, and the presentation is half the dish. A stone bowl called a dolsot gets heated until it is literally smoking. White rice in the center, sautéed vegetables, spinach, bean sprouts, carrots, zucchini arranged in color wheel wedges, marinated beef on top, a raw egg cracked over everything. Then you mix it with gochujang, a fermented red chili paste. And now the clever part: the stone bowl keeps cooking the rice while you eat. The bottom layer slowly crisps into a golden crust called nurungji that you scrape up with your spoon at the end. Remember the sokarat from paella? Exactly the same concept. 2 cultures 8,000 miles apart independently figured out that the burnt bottom is the best part. Iran took that same idea and built an entire dish around it: tahdig. Tahdig might be the most dramatic rice dish on earth. The name literally means bottom of the pot. Iranian cooks parboil long-grain rice, then layer it back into a pot with a heavy pour of butter or oil, and cook it on low heat for an hour with a kitchen towel wrapped around the lid to absorb steam. Then comes the flip. You turn the entire pot upside down onto a platter, stick the landing, and a perfect golden disc of crispy rice sits on top like a crown. Miss it, and you are scraping burnt disaster off the pot pretending nothing happened. That gamble is the entire show. At Iranian gatherings, the person who scores the biggest crispy piece is considered the luckiest at the table. Jambalaya and congee. Jambalaya from Louisiana is where African, French, Spanish, and Caribbean cooking all collided in one pot. Spanish settlers in New Orleans tried to recreate Valencian paella, could not find saffron anywhere in the American South, and used local tomatoes as the substitute. Creole jambalaya kept those tomatoes. Cajun jambalaya dropped them entirely and browned the meat directly for a deeper, smoky flavor. Both build on long grain rice, andouille sausage, and the Cajun holy trinity of diced onion, celery, and green bell pepper. And congee, the rice porridge eaten across China, Japan, Korea, and Southeast Asia, has been documented in Chinese texts for over 2,500 years. It was invented as a way to stretch a tiny amount of rice to feed a huge number of mouths. Still, the number one comfort food across the entire continent of Asia. Sick, hungover, tired, broke, cold, stressed, congee is always the answer. Every country has its own spin. Chinese congee comes with century eggs and shredded pork. Japanese okayu keeps it clean with pickled plums. Filipino arroz caldo adds chicken and ginger. Korean juk ranges from pumpkin to abalone. One grain. 3.5 billion people. Every single culture on Earth cracked the code in a completely different way. The video on your screen now is what the algorithm thinks you should check out next.